The Last Call from Hallow's End. In the small, unassuming town of Hallow's End, nestled between the whispering pines and the rolling fog that blanketed the ground each evening, there existed a peculiar anomaly that the townsfolk rarely spoke of, but universally acknowledged. It was an old, disconnected phone booth, situated at the edge of town, where the cobblestone streets met the wild, untamed forest. The booth, with its cracked glass and weathered frame, had not received a call in over 50 years, yet the phone within it rang precisely at midnight on the last day of every October. The legend of the last call from Hallow's End began with a tragedy that occurred on a night much like any other, save for the thick, almost palpable fog that enveloped the town. A young woman, Sarah Whitmore, had vanished into the forest, following a voice only she could hear, her last known location being the old phone booth. Her disappearance remained a mystery, her whispers carried on the wind, a sorrowful echo of a tale left unfinished. Decades passed, and the phone booth became a landmark of sorts, a curiosity that drew the brave and the foolish alike. It was said that answering the last call would grant the listener a glimpse into the unknown, a message from beyond the veil. Yet fear tethered the curiosity of the townsfolk, leaving the phone to ring unanswered, its secrets unspoken. Elliot Crane, a skeptic and a newcomer to Hallow's End, found the legend amusing, a quaint tale spun to enthrall tourists and frighten children. Armed with disbelief and a desire to debunk the myth, Elliot set out on the eve of October's end, determined to witness the last call firsthand. As the clock struck midnight, the phone rang, its shrill tone slicing through the silence of the night. Elliot, heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and an inexplicable dread, answered. "Hello?" His voice was a mix of skepticism and a forced bravery. The line crackled, and for a moment there was only silence. Then a whisper, soft and sorrowful, filled the air. "Help me," it said, a voice as clear as it was chilling, laced with an agony that transcended time. Elliot, taken aback, demanded, "Who is this? How can I help you?" The voice, growing fainter, replied, "Find me. Free me." Before the line went dead, leaving Elliot in stunned silence, the weight of the encounter pressing down on him like a physical force. Driven by a newfound purpose, Elliot delved into the history of Hallow's End, uncovering tales of lost souls and ancient curses that clung to the town like a shroud. His search led him to the heart of the forest, to a clearing where the air felt thick with the echoes of past sorrows. There, beneath the light of a solitary moon, Elliot found the remains of Sarah Whitmore, her final resting place, marked by a ring of stones that seemed to pulse with a quiet, mournful energy. The discovery sent a shockwave through Hallow's End, unearthing long-buried secrets and a truth that shook the foundation of the town. Sarah Whitmore had been the last in a line of guardians, tasked with protecting Hallow's End from the darkness that lurked at its edges. Her disappearance had weakened the barriers, allowing shadows to creep closer with each passing year. With the return of her remains to hallowed ground, the town felt a shift, a lightening of the air, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. The old phone booth, its purpose served, fell silent. The last call from Hallow's End never to ring again. Elliot, forever changed by the experience, remained in the town, a guardian of sorts, watching over the thin places where the veil between worlds grew thin. And as for the townsfolk, they no longer spoke of the phone booth in hushed tones of fear, but rather in whispers of gratitude for the peace returned to Hallow's End, thanks to the skeptic who dared to answer the call. In the wake of the discovery, Hallow's End experienced an unprecedented era of peace and prosperity. The darkness that had once crept at the edges of the forest receded, and the townsfolk found themselves in the embrace of a tranquility that seemed almost surreal. Elliot, once an outsider, was now regarded as a local hero, the man who had brought resolution to a decades-old mystery, and, in doing so, had saved their town from an encroaching darkness. Years passed, and the story of the last call from Hallow's End became a tale of legend, a story to tell around campfires, and during the late hours of Halloween night. The old phone booth remained, a relic of the past, untouched and largely forgotten, a silent sentinel at the edge of town. Then, on an evening that mirrored the night Elliot had answered the fateful call, a new anomaly occurred. It was the eve of October, under a cloak of fog as thick and as impenetrable as the night Sarah Whitmore had disappeared. The town, now vibrant and alive with the laughter of children trick-or-treating, was oblivious to the phone booth that suddenly stirred to life. The phone rang, its bell a clear, sharp chime that cut through the fog. This time, however, it was not at midnight, but at the stroke of 11, an hour when the veil between worlds was said to be its thinnest. Curiosity, a force as potent as any magic, drew a young girl to the booth. Lily, Elliot's daughter, born of Hallow's End and raised on the stories of its mysteries, approached the ringing phone with a mix of fear and excitement. Her father, having stepped away for just a moment, was unaware of the phone's call or of his daughter's intent to answer it. "Hello?" Lily's voice was a whisper, barely audible over the sound of her beating heart. The line crackled, and then a voice, different from the one Elliot had heard years before. It was warm, familiar, and filled with love. "Lily," it said, "it's me." Lily's eyes widened with recognition and disbelief. "Dad?" she breathed, her voice a mix of hope and confusion. But how? Elliot, returning to find his daughter speaking into the phone, froze in place, his heart caught in his throat. The voice on the line, though impossible, was his own. "I'm calling from the past, Lily. The night I first answered the call, I needed to hear your voice, to know that everything would be all right." "But how can this be?" Lily asked, her mind reeling from the impossibility. "The magic of Hallow's End, love. It's stronger than we ever imagined. It's given me this one moment to reach across time, to assure myself that the choices I made led to a better future." As the call ended, leaving behind a silence that hummed with unspoken questions, Elliot hugged his daughter tightly, marveling at the strange, wondrous tapestry of events that had woven their lives into the fabric of Hallow's End's history. The townsfolk, when they learned of the second call, were filled with awe and a renewed respect for the mysteries that lay just beyond their understanding. Hallow's End, a place where the past could touch the present, became a symbol of hope, a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary events could stem from the simplest acts of courage and love. And as for Elliot and Lily, they knew that their bond, strengthened by love and tested by time, was a testament to the enduring magic that protected their town. The last call from Hallow's End had woven them into its legend, a story that would echo through the generations, a surprise twist in the tale of a town embraced by mystery and guarded by the unwavering spirit of its people. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more artificial apparitions.